Something's happened to me.
I saw you die. I saw someone kill you.
Track him.
I'm fixing it. Is this real?
The movie begins at a small bookstore in town. Joe the clerk flirts with a customer named Ash. They connect instantly and go for coffee together, discussing the idea of having a final purpose. They start dating and quickly form a serious relationship. One morning at a cafe, Joe asks about Ash's job, but she avoids answering. Instead, she says she has something important to share and tells him, "I love you." Nearby, Hunter bumps into a man who confronts him. Hunter reacts by striking the man down. At the table, Ash begins to explain that she isn't from here, but before she can finish, Hunter walks up and opens her head. Hunter leaves the gun on another table and walks away as a devastated Joe clings to Ash's lifeless body. After the shock, Joe tries to follow Hunter, but loses him in an alley. For the next 2 weeks, Joe spirals into depression. He cancels all his plans and refuses to leave his apartment. His friend Oliver keeps trying to visit, and Joe finally lets him in. Oliver brings coffee, but Joe feels so weak he drops the cup and can't even taste it. When Oliver offers words of comfort, Joe shuts him down, and Oliver leaves. That night, Joe buys a gun and bullets. He says he'll see Ash soon and tries to end things once for all. When he pulls the trigger, nothing happens. He tries a few more times, but it still doesn't work. To test the gun, he fires at the sofa, and this time the bullet comes out, causing damage. However, when he tries to shoot himself again, the gun fails. The apartment AI hears the shot and wants to call the police, but Joe convinces her it was an accident. He then shoots the window to break the glass and jumps out, hearing Ash's voice calling his name. To his surprise, he finds himself floating in the air, surrounded by glass shards. Suddenly, he wakes up in his bed and assumes it was all a dream because the sofa is undamaged and the gun is still on the table. The AI mentions messages from Ash, which makes Joe panic. He runs out of the building and walks down the street, noticing a woman with a strange effect on her face. He thinks he sees Ash's face on billboards, and his phone keeps receiving messages from Ash, which should be impossible. Too scared to check the messages, he goes to Oliver for advice. Oliver suggests that Ash might have pre-recorded the messages in case something happened to her. Joe decides to open them. A video of Ash plays, explaining that if he's seeing this, something has happened to her. She asks him to go to the bookstore and pick up a special order under his name. Meanwhile, in a dark room, Erica and 2 operators monitor Joe's movements. Joe reaches the bookstore and picks up a small book as instructed. Inside, he finds a love note from Ash. When he reads it, his head aches and his vision blurs for a few minutes. Unaware he's being followed, he leaves. A man tailing Joe reports to Erica, who orders him to take Joe down and retrieve the book. The operators activate more men through their computers, who begin following Joe. One of them gets in the elevator with Joe, pretending to be a tenant. On his way to his apartment, Joe receives a message from Ash warning that the stranger may kill him. Joe rushes into his apartment and tries to close the door, but the man blocks it with his foot and starts shooting. Joe's home AI attempts to contact the authorities but appears offline. Joe grabs his gun from the table and fires, missing the target, then hides. When the man gets closer, Joe fires again but misses. The attacker prepares to strike, but Joe's body suddenly moves on its own and shoots the stranger with perfect accuracy. Confused, Joe hears someone in the hallway and carefully approaches the door. A second attacker appears, and Joe quickly disarms him, starting a fight. The man forces Joe to drop his gun and overpowers him until Joe begins dodging with incredible speed. With one swift move, Joe knocks the man down. The attacker recovers instantly and displays newfound fighting skills, overpowering Joe again. Joe throws him onto a table, and when the man tries to fight back, Joe smashes his face against the wall. The man, confused, says he doesn't understand before Joe knocks him out with a punch. Afterward, Joe returns to his apartment and notices Ash on the screen in a live feed, not a recorded message. At the same time, the body near his door vanishes. Ash says she never meant to abandon him. She struggled to hack into the system, and time works differently where she lives. Before explaining what happened to her, she needs to share some history. Years ago, technology advanced rapidly. Artificial intelligence emerged with advanced behavioral modeling and ultra-realistic rendering, driven mainly by the entertainment industry. Intelligence agencies also took notice. Hunter, a brilliant software engineer, joined Syntec, a major tech firm. He collected real-world data and fed it into a machine to analyze process control. Secretly, he worked on a private project to create a virtual, living reality fueled by a constant stream of information. Unable to do it alone, Hunter received an offer of help from another coder. Together, they created the first digital universe, DU, a fully realized virtual population. The only thing missing was real people with emotions and agency. Hunter used his DU to run risky experiments, from testing advanced surgical implants to weaponry. Eventually, he became Syntec's CEO, accelerating progress. He promoted the DU as a consequence-free testing ground, arguing simulated people were cheaper than real ones. Over a decade, Hunter developed nearly 500 DU models before perfecting the current one. Joe realizes he is just a computer program, but Ash insists he is a real man, and the one she loves. Ash is a real woman working for an intelligence agency in the real world. Hunter only killed her model in the digital universe, DU. She continues to expose Hunter's unethical experiments, which led the government to outlaw the modeling technology. Instead of destroying it, Hunter hid the technology in the DU. When Hunter shot Ash, he disappeared using his admin permissions. However, breaking the laws of physics in the DU could corrupt it and cause glitches, making the DU feel less real. Ash has been searching for Hunter's hidden technology ever since. During her mission, she met Joe and fell in love with him. The book Ash sent Joe contains hidden data they must retrieve soon. While examining pictures from Ash's story, Joe realizes the other programmer is his friend Oliver, who hasn't been seen in years. Ash asks Joe to contact Oliver for help since she can't return to the DU. This makes Joe question who stopped him from self-deleting and gave him extra skills. Meanwhile, Erica visits Hunter, who is playing with a mysterious orb. Erica explains that the Joe mission is causing too many problems for her team to fix quickly. She insists the only way to keep anyone from accessing the DU again is to isolate it from the global networks. However, Hunter refuses because it would disrupt the flow of information. Erica warns that they're risking exposure and killing billions of people, but Hunter dismisses her concerns with a rant about humanity's progress. Before she leaves, Hunter asks her to locate the real Ash. Later, Oliver contacts Ash with only 30 seconds to talk. Ash tells him she needs his help to shut down the DU and deal with Joe. Oliver agrees to stay in touch and ends the call. Suddenly, her alarm alerts her to armed men in strange masks arriving. Ash stays hidden and sneaks out of her apartment unnoticed. She avoids a patrolling drone by hiding again. Using her computer to track Oliver's call, she follows a map to his home. Oliver lets her in only after she proves she has no firearms, just a knife. Ash shares her experiences in the DU, admitting she sees the programs as real people. She believes they shouldn't be experimented on or shut down. Oliver doesn't explain why he lives in the DU, but admits he stopped Joe from self-deleting and enhanced his abilities. Realizing Ash truly loves Joe, Oliver agrees to help her. He directs her to an old building where she can stay safe. Soon, Oliver provides Ash with the means to return to the DU, allowing her to reunite with Joe. Hunter notices a sudden change in code on his computer. Meanwhile, Joe struggles to respond to Ash after realizing she isn't real. Ash reassures him that she is real and kisses him. Their moment is cut short when Ash is abruptly pulled out of the digital universe and reappears in her room. Oliver explains he had to intervene because Hunter is onto them, and Ash needs to escape. Soon after, a masked man starts chasing her. In the digital universe, Joe finds Oliver and begs for help. Oliver reveals that Ash is in danger and predicts Hunter will shut down the digital universe soon due to the glitches, opting to create a new one instead. This would mean the end of Joe and everyone he knows. Oliver proposes a solution. Joe must release the data his model contains. Years ago, developers left hidden data in the code, and Oliver confirms he did the same. The book Ash sent Joe contains a backup of the entire digital universe. That's the data Ash has been trying to extract. Oliver hands Joe a key and instructs him to upload the data, go home, and wait for further instructions. Joe agrees but stops by his apartment first to grab his gun and say goodbye to his AI companion. In the real world, Ash runs from the masked man, who fires at her. She reaches an alley and hides behind a dumpster. When the man gets close, she ambushes him. They fight, and the man prevents Ash from using her dagger. Instead, she breaks his mask and lands several hits, taking him down. Ash grabs the man's gun, hits him with it, and demands information about the DU technology. When he refuses to answer, she strikes him again and walks away. Unfortunately, as she steps out of the alley, another man knocks her out. Ash wakes up tied to a chair in Hunter's office. She accuses him of unethical practices, but Hunter fires back, claiming she's no better because of what she did to Joe. Hunter then enters the DU to meet Oliver, who admits he worked with Hunter without knowing his true intentions. Oliver calls Hunter a psychopath, but agrees to stay out of his way. Hunter's men discover Oliver's real body and kill him, pulling him out of the digital universe. Seconds later, Joe receives a programmed message from Oliver, telling him he's alone now. Joe finds an old apartment with a computer containing all the data. He places his hand on the control panel, instantly sending the information out. This triggers an alert to Erica, who orders her men to stop him. Two men appear outside the window, as Joe uses a key on the screen to unlock a cabinet full of guns. When the men break in, Joe quickly takes them down with precise shots. Suddenly, Joe hears Hunter's voice and vanishes, reappearing at a harbor outside the city. Hunter is already there and shoots Joe in the shoulder before aiming at his head, warning that if Hunter kills him, he won't respawn. Using his control panel, Hunter disarms Joe and makes him float, torturing him. Just as Joe is about to be erased, Hunter mentions Ash. Enraged, Joe screams, regains control, and fights back. Hunter doesn't understand what's happening. Joe drops to the ground, picks up his gun, and shoots Hunter, sending him back to the real world. In the office, Hunter announces it's time for a reboot. Desperate, Ash begs him to let her say goodbye. Amused by her love for a piece of software, Hunter agrees. Ash calls Joe, who shares his last words with her while watching the world around him disintegrate. His body begins to glitch, but he tells Ash he loves her and insists his feelings are real, even if he's digital. Then his phone vanishes, the ground collapses, and the buildings disappear into darkness. When the computer confirms the deletion, Hunter orders his guard to kill Ash. Suddenly, Oliver's voice interrupts, calling Hunter out. The orb on the desk shakes, floats, and grows larger before vanishing. Oliver appears on the screen, leaving Hunter confused since his men supposedly killed Oliver's real body. Oliver explains he hid different levels of universes inside the DU system. The orb's particles reappear and form Joe, who grabs a gun and disarms the guard. When Joe turns toward Hunter, the guard tries to grab his gun again, but his body glitches. Erica seizes the moment, beats the guard unconscious, and declares she's done with Hunter's evil plans. She frees Ash. Joe then shoots Hunter multiple times, sending him through the window. Finally, Joe and Ash reunite. Later, they visit Oliver, who explains the universe as a system of different levels and says flesh and blood are no different from coding. He only had to cut Joe's code and paste it in Ash's level. When Oliver returns to his house, he takes a drink and disappears into yet another level. And that's how the movie ends. What did you think of this movie? Let us know in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and press the bell icon for more amazing videos. See you next time.